last round on Team BCW, Corey Baumeister, Ely Cassis, and Peter Ingram. And now they got to beat another one, maybe the favorites coming into the weekend, in Matthew Dilks, Edgar Magalhaes, and Will Pulliam. And if these young kids on the left can pull that off, you can say they earned their top.
No question. And we're still in a spot where even a win here does not lock either of these teams for top 4. The tiebreaker is going to be a bit of a mess. We'll get it sorted out, but very good chance of the winner here will be playing later this afternoon.
Now, it is worth noting that for Nicholas, last round he actually did beat Peter Ingram, who was playing Demir Inverter. So he has beaten this matchup just last round. We'll see if he can do it again, as Seder Wayfinder is going to take a breeding pool. Magalhaes is going to opt. Top card becomes the bottom. He'll draw a mystery card, and now he'll draw a card for his turn. Next up is an opt. Take a little look. Top card becomes the bottom once again, so he'll draw a card. Picked up a copy of Thoughtseize. This is a Swamp, and that is a Thoughtseize. So let's take a look at the hand. The breeding pool we know about. World Breakers we didn't, 2 of those, along with in Euro, a Nissa's Pilgrimage, and an Ugin the Spirit Dragon. So the payoffs are there. The acceleration, not so much. And which one of those cards do you want to take between the Pilgrimage and the Euro? I think I would lean towards the Pilgrimage if I were Edgar in this spot, but we'll see what the SCG Players Championship runner-up would like to do.
So the Pilgrimage has a lot more value in the immediate term than Euro, and Euro is not really going anywhere forever anyway.
We head back over to Nicholas now. And now there is the Titan of Nature's Wrath. Draw a card. Breeding pool right off the top. Gain a little bit of life. Get in for a point of damage. So there you go. We're heading back over to Magalhaes now. Edgar slow and steady, never in a rush.
Welcome to round 6. You have 50 minutes. You may begin.
He'll just play a Watergrave tap before passing the turn back. In comes the Seder Wayfinder for just 1 point of damage. And now it's a Yavimaya and a passing of the turn. We go back over to Edgar.
We'll call the Promised End. Haven't seen that one in a while.
That's a heater. That card's no joke. Edgar's going to sacrifice a Fabled Passage. Go get a basic island out of his deck.
Attention Magic players. We need a few more people to launch our 2:30 casual Commander event. We'd like to play 2 rounds of Commander.
And now we're going to see Supreme Will take a look at a handful of cards. 1 to the hand, 3 to the bottom, and we head back over to Edgar now. He'll draw a card for the turn. That's an island. And here comes the beatdowns for 1. Well, Thought-Knot's here. Okay. So there's some Eldrazi spells in here to be sure. And Edgar doesn't look thrilled to be seeing that one showing up to the battlefield.
Good smattering of colorless lands here as well in the deck.
Mm-hmm. Looks like Edgar might be thinking dig through time here. He's going to go with Hero's Downfall. Thought-Knot's here trigger still on the stack, and now here is a dig through time. So he'll take a look at the top 7 cards, take 2 with him, of course. And then the Thought-Knot's here trigger will resolve.
Nice sequencing there from Edgar.
And you'd expect nothing less from a player of this caliber. As now, the hand will be revealed. Dig through time, Fatal Push, Thassa's Oracle. 2 swamps and a drowned catacomb.
Imagine we're going to be taking the dig through time here.
I think it's the most powerful card in the hand, that's for sure. Fatal Push not great in this matchup. And there goes the dig through time. And Thassa's Oracle, while it does contribute towards winning the game, it isn't a total blank. And not the best card in the world. So away goes dig through time. think that's actually kind of unique, too, is that had Edgar drawn Inverter of Truth, the game ended.
Yeah, he just got it.
Yeah.
Yep. Deck goes down to 1 card, and then the Oracle is you trigger the game-winning condition.
Yeah, pretty crazy to think the game could end just like that out of nowhere. That's some of the power of this deck. You see Dilks there in the background. He's getting busy with Amulet Titan and Amulet Titan Mirror. And we got Team of Reclamation Mirrors in Standard as well. But for now, we put our focus here on Magalhaes, who's just going to play a Fabled Passage and pass the turn back. So over to Nicholas we go. He'll draw. Another hit for 1. Magalhaes is going to fall down to 13. That Satyr Wayfinder continues to just chip away. And now there is the big baddie from Theros Beyond Death. Going to escape 5 cards.
Devalle is still, you know, he's got a lot of exposure here to Magalhaes' best draws because he doesn't really interact all that well on the opposing turn.
Magalhaes, no panic there with the Euro coming back. Given that he does have this combination of Fabled Passage, turning on the Revolt for Fatal Push, not too much to be worried about. There is a basic island. And now there is the push. We'll head back over to Edgar now, and he will draw. There's Drowned Catacomb. And just going to pass the turn back, so no inverters just yet, no Jace either. A lot of big draw steps here for Edgar in this particular game, but not here yet. And you do start to get a little bit scared now if you are Edgar because, look, Nicholas isn't too far away from starting to cast some real hits.
Yeah, his hand is not short of tonnage.
Yeah.
It's just an issue of mana.
Speaking of mana, going to tap 2 of it. Oh, okay, so that's the new land enchantment
Wolf
there.
Willow Haven.
Indeedy. There is the Haven. 1 and a green enchant land. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for an additional mana, it'll give you an additional green. You can sacrifice it to make a 2/2 wolf. Doesn't come up all that often. But now that means a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana available. Be time to break a world or 2. Start attacking for 1 though. Magalhaes going to fall down to 11. I think that's going to consult Joshua there.
Yeah, I mean, Devalle would love to choose a line here that gave him some protection against being comboed out. But I don't know if such a line exists. Huh, that is very helpful. The Oracle is now exiled, and Magalhaes shows a hand of nothing but lands.
All right.
Your first round pairings have made their way to the pairings boards.
Beatdowns for 5.
230 Pioneer Challenge players.
There's an Ipnu
Your
Rivulet.
first round pairings have made their way to the pairings board.
The team is huddling up. They know the importance of getting this game. Edgar is at a real deficit right now. It looks like we are going to go towards World Breaker. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Devalle's concern here is that is there any way to prevent losing to just running draw of Oracle and Inverter? I don't think his hand really lets him do anything about that, so you might as well just try to put lethal on the battlefield.
Dead. 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 Nicholas Devalle is up a game here over Edgar Magalhaes, and that means the team on the left of Warsaw, Devalle and Rubin, leading this match over Dilks, Magalhaes, and Pulliam after just knocking out, more or less, maybe potentially knocking out that Team BCW trio of Ingram, Baumeister, and Cassis. Who are these young kids?
Yeah, it's really, I mean, just the nature of these team tournaments. There's so many rounds. You have so few losses to give. And it's just very hard to take 2 out of 3 matches against the best teams. So if Warsaw, Devalle, and Rubin are able to pull this off, that is certainly a way to throw your hat into the ring in the SCG Tour.
Let's take a look at the sideboards. We're going to start with Magalhaes. She's got 4 Mystical Dispute, 3 Pack Rats, 2 Cry of the Carnarium, a Cast Down, an Infernal Reckoning, a Grafdigger's Cage, a Noxious Grasp, a Kalida's Trader of Get, and a Legion's End. Do we go maybe to the Rat Attack?
Well, that's the big question. I mean, you have a couple of other okay sideboard options, but the removal is just not great here. I feel like Edgar probably wants to speed up the deck a little bit, and Devalle does not kill opposing creatures all that well. So I think Pat Rat makes sense here, and I don't know if there's enough targets for Mystical Dispute. Devalle's deck is essentially just base green. There's very little in the way of blue cards, but you might just bring a Mystical Dispute in out of habit.
3 Disdainful Stroke, 3 Mystical Dispute, 2 Perilous Vault, 2 Scavenging Ooze, 2 Spaceful Contortion, 2 Unravel the Ether, and a Tireless Tracker here for Nicholas.
I mean, I don't know how interested I am in any of this stuff. I think there's an argument for Scavenging Ooze to try to pin Edgar's ability to dig through time, but that seems fairly weak to me. I think the Mystical Disputes are okay. There's probably enough Disdainful Stroke targets between Inverter and dig through time, so probably there. And I think the Tireless Tracker is probably solid in this matchup too.
Those are your options there for both players. Game number 2 about to be underway here in just a moment. But let's talk about something that Edgar plays in. I'm sure Nicholas does, and you can as well. It's invitational qualifiers, folks. If you're looking to qualify for the summer invitational at SCGCon Summer, that's Season 1, of course, you can do that by going to go.starcitygames.com/IQ. We've got exclusive prizes like $1,000 for the top 8, SCG points, top 8 playmats, exclusive tokens, and qualifications for our invitationals. Again, go.starcitygames.com/IQ for more information. I want to watch Alex Rubin play some more Magic. I hope we get to go down that way again.
Me too.
I don't even know what's important in the team of Rekmir.
Guessing
Seems like a total mess.
Wilderness Reclamation's
yeah,
good.
I mean, that one's got to be good. Is that the most important card to keep off the battlefield? Probably.
Probably.
Yeah. So now you got these weird fights. When do you go for it? Because, tap out, gets countered, then the opponent drops theirs. It's all bad news then.
Yeah. Well, the decks are a lot better, I think, at playing proactively than reactively. So I'm sure most of the time it's appropriate just to try to get it out there. But, I don't know the mirror match all that well.
And if we have some time to jump up to that Amulet Titan Mirror, we may do that as well. But for now, we're going to focus on more Pioneer. Magalhaes is going to play a Watery Grave to get this party started. Breeding Pool on the other side of the battlefield. We head back over to Edgar. Drowned Catacomb, yes. Thassa's Oracle. I was hoping for the Pack Rat. Haven't seen a Pack Rat win in a long time.
A little throwback.
Yeah, it's funny to think that was probably 5 years ago, maybe. You and I drudging through the Pack Rat era. Yeah, man.
Let's see.
It's true.
I got a computer in front of me.
Satyr Wayfinder is going to reveal a couple of cards here. One of them is a land there in Ipnu Rivulet. World Breaker in the graveyard, not a bad place to be. Cavalier of Thorns, Disdainful Stroke over there as well. There's an island there for Edgar.
So Return to Ravnica.
Oh, no. Is it way before that?
The set where Pack Rat debuted.
Oh, no.
October 5th, 2012.
We are. Stop.
Approaching
No.
year
We
8.
are old as all get out.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness. But it didn't do its thing until Theros Standard.
Right.
You know, so probably like 2013 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2013, 14. Okay. I don't feel as bad. Titan Nature's Wrath. That is a Magic card they were not afraid to push.
No. No. I like that Devalle opened up the turn with just a Grandmaster jump attack. Trying to get some
love
food.
it. Get some escape cards to the graveyard.
Try to get some food.
Maybe we should have taken that one.
1 p.m. Pioneer
Let's head back over to Edgar here in just a moment.
pairings have been posted. 1 p.m. Pioneer players, your next round pairings have been posted.
Oh my gosh, please Inverter right now. I want it so bad. I want it so bad. Just thump. Yeah, 4 mana, come on. All right, that's good too.
Yeah. Less exciting.
Yeah,
Very good.
just I have one card in my deck. And Jace is going to plus. Mill Nicholas 2 cards. Edgar will draw 1. Let's head back over to Nicholas now. Thought Not Seer. Let's take a look. Mystical Dispute, Inverter, Pack Rat, Dig Through Time, and a land. That's a hard hand to poke a hole through.
Yeah. Pretty rolled up here.
Are now making their way to the pairing board. Pairings are online. Pairings and standings after 5 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, that's about as good as it gets.
To the pairing board.
Let's play Pack Rat with 3 up to either Make a Rat or Dispute or Dig, depending on how it goes.
Yeah. You can start milling yourself with Jace
Right.
as well.
Hand cannot be a whole lot better than that.
And you've still got the back door out of just drawing Inverter.
Right.
That's where this deck is tough. That's where this deck looks really, really good. He's going to mill himself a couple of cards. Jason Thassa's Oracle head to the graveyard. It looks like a Dig Through Time was the draw off of that. Watergrave's going to enter the battlefield untapped. And perhaps we're going to go ratting. We'll have to see. We can confirm that Matthew Dilks has done his job. He won the Amulet Titan Mirror 2-0. You know why?
Because he just decides what stock.
That's the correct answer.
Beat him with a stock list.
That's right. There's a Pack Rat. Haven't seen it for a long time, but it was a format-defining card years ago. Unstoppable. We're all tied up on the bottom. Team of Reclamation going to go to a third and final one here in just a little bit, as Will Pulliam is able to tie it up against Alex Rubin.
30 casual commander players, your pairings for round 1 have been posted.
Bang. Thought Not Seer. Let's talk about it. Feeling frisky.
Just letting this one go down to 2, I think.
Edgar agrees with you.
Yep.
Blast Zone.
So remind me again how.
This should
So
be good.
Pack Rat makes a token that has a mana cost.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
that's correct.
So Blast Zone is good against Pack Rat.
That's correct.
Pioneer Classic players. As a reminder, going into this round, there are only 3 legal ways to acquire a master.
Big fellow's back.
Intentional concession, intentional draw, and playing Magic with the deck.
All right,
you
there's your
registered
escape of 5.
this event today. Any other means
Euro.
of trying to acquire a match result can
All right, game 3. Draw a card. Play additional land, perhaps.
With that said, welcome to round 6. You have 50 minutes.
There's Castle Garenbrig. All right, let's go over to Edgar, who's going to play a Supreme Will. He took a card real fast. Looks like he knew what he was looking for. Untap and draw.
Yeah, Edgar's got a lot of good instants here that cost 3 in the matchup. So being able to sit back, leave the mana up, and have the out of using Pack Rat if nothing comes up. Really, really strong.
Gonna mill himself for a couple of cards and draw a card. Chase up to 3 now. Remember, that's one of the win conditions for this deck is chase. There's a land for the turn. Edgar, this game not floating out. He's got spells. And he's had a good draw. Is he able to convert those resources into a win? Because it's not like Nicholas is not doing anything over there. He's doing plenty.
And his deck does quite a bit for 7 and 8, but Edgar still has Mystical Dispute, and he might have just said, even if there isn't a whole lot in the way of blue cards on the other side of the table here, I don't mind paying 3 for a counterspell here against a deck with so many 7 and 8 mana cards. Hauling up here. Not an easy spot to play through.
No, it's not. You're playing against a great player that's got 6 mana available. You want to make sure you don't get anything wrong. Now, the easiest thing might be to do is start here.
Yeah, just see what this looks like.
Yeah. Draw your card, gain your life, so on and so forth.
Really hard for combat not to work out well for you in some form or fashion.
Mm-hmm. Sanctum of Ugin. Blast Zone for 2. Both are going at Jace. Blast Zone for 2 before blocks. Okay.
Yeah, you get the Oracle, you get the Pack Rat, and again, the tokens have a converted mana cost of 2 because they are a copy of Pack Rat.
All right. There go those creatures. What do we got here? Dig. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more. Okay. Looks like he's going to leave oracles in the graveyard. Take a look. Found an inverter. I think he may have found an oracle too. He may have found the 1/2. Interesting to note here. Still a little bit of work be done on Edgar's side of things as far as a 1/2 punch for a kill. So he's got a lot to think about there.
Yeah, he's not rolled up, even
Yeah.
if he just goes bang, bang. So
Mystical Dispute. Counters that dig through time. All right, Edgar is untapping. And he is drawing. Is it go time? Does have a copy of Thassa's Oracle in hand. Not many cards in the graveyard. Does he try to play around a counterspell here? Does he try to play around anything?
yeah, it's tough because Devalle's feels like he's not likely to use his position's pretty good. It feels like he's not likely to use the Mystical Dispute there if he's worried about you just going for the kill the next turn, since there's a very good chance you have the kill rolled up based on the number of cards you've looked at and the nature of your hand that he already knows from the Thanaths here. So Devalle definitely projected some strength there with that Mystical Dispute. And if you go for it here and it doesn't pan out, you are dead. Most likely.
There's the inverter.
So I guess there's some conversation here about, do you want to use the Ipnu Revolut
Yeah.
to mill some
Which is
things
actually,
over
It's actually kind of interesting.
and make the deck a little bit bigger, so you don't have a kill rolled up with Thassa's Oracle?
Yeah, that's actually a really kind of unique interaction here. 1 in a blue, you can sacrifice a desert. Target player puts the top 4 cards of his or her library in his or her graveyard. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now that would be Magalhaes' deck. Instead of it being 1 card, it's quite a few more than that. Is that something that they saw coming in Dilks, Pulliam, and Edgar? All right. They want to see what cards. Opt, Thoughtseize, Thought Eraser, Dig Through Time, and a land. That's the deck.
Not a bad set of cards here for trying to push through a combo.
Yeah, that Thoughtseize is probably the most important of the bunch. But I agree with you. Not a bad set of cards. All right. And now Edgar's just going to pass the turn back. Remember, Edgar's got a lot of cards in his hand, too. We also can't forget that Ipnu Rivulet's still on the battlefield, if that matters. Boom. Thought Not Seer. Good place to start. What's the hand? Dispute? Inverter, Opt, Oracle, and it looks like a Jace. Okay.
So second inverter, not really anything to write home about. I mean, it's the Jace and the Thassa's Oracle that are the threatening cards here.
Well, second inverter speeds you up, right?
Oh, sure. You can just
Yeah.
let it go again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just let it rip again. Just
Yep.
Okay, my deck's a 0.
So another thing to keep in mind here is that Magalhaes can't really initiate a win the game by zeroing myself out with anything that involves drawing a card. Because in response, Devalle can use the Ipnu Rivulet, zero out Magalhaes' deck, and then he draws and can't and loses the game. So how does Magalhaes try to set up the combo through the Rivulet is very, very interesting.
Beatdowns. So they went with Jace. Ooh, making a trade.
Yeah, that's the same thing with the Thought Not Seer is Magalhaes actually can't block that chump attack because he goes, use the Revelette, and then you die to the Thought Not Seer's death trigger.
Yeah, sure.
So he's bound, he's bound up the same way again.
Okay. That's a unique game. There's a forest. That's a unique game.
Ipnu Revelette is like some trouble for these inverter decks. So, like, a lot of the sequences involve draw a card and now I have no deck.
Yeah.
And you cannot do that in the face of that card.
Yeah. Now keep in mind right now, Edgar has 4 cards in his deck.
Right. So if you pass, he goes zero you out and you die on your draw. And you die on your draw step. So how do you worm your way out of this?
I don't really know. Yep, there's all 4 cards. So is that why Rivulet's in this deck?
Yeah, I was going to say
matchup.
There's not a whole lot to do with the graveyard here. There's a couple copies of World Breaker, a couple Emeralds, and your Uros. So I didn't know that. I was sort of curious. That doesn't sound like enough to justify this.
Yeah,
but it is hilarious against making.
I find this to be very funny. Okay, so you mill him now, right? So if you let this resolve, then the top card, then the deck is just an inverter.
And so now the Thassa's
And then Thassa's Oracle
Oracle
is
is
game.
lethal, right?
So if you Rivulet him, so if you don't do that, you lose. If you Rivulet him now,
Unless you can win the fight over a Thassa's Oracle.
what is this? Does he have a counter spell or something? What is this? What kind of weird game did we walk into?
It's weird because there's so much about this game right now that's face up.
Yeah.
And it's just, do you know?
So, okay, no Rivulet, inverters the deck, play Thassa's Oracle, win.
Right.
If you Rivulet, it's 5 cards, you mill the 4 cards, and then it's a 5-card deck again.
Right.
Okay, but that means that the Rivulet is gone for good because he doesn't have any additional deserts on the battlefield.
Exactly.
So he's only got 1 shot at the Rivulet activation, and Alex Rubin is trying to tell him exactly the best way to go about using it.
well, if you can't win the fight over a Thassa's Oracle right now, you got to respond because you're right. It's just face up that you're dead
Yes.
if you do nothing.
Okay, it's a growth spiral. Okay, so let's get a little extra info. What happened there? Legal game action?
Yeah, Magalhaes might have wanted to respond to that
Okay,
growth spiral.
sure. Okay. Nicholas was assuming that the growth spiral was just going to resolve.
Right.
Went to go draw his card right away, and Edgar said, I might have a response, which that makes total sense.
Yeah.
I don't know what that response would be, but that makes total sense.
Well, he's got the Mystical Dispute in his hand. I cannot imagine just saying, okay, Mystical Dispute if you didn't draw a land, because you're dead again to the Rivulet. You got to Thassa's Oracle has to work its way into the equation this turn, or you have to induce Devalle to use the Rivulet. It's got to be one or the other.
And I'm pretty sure Edgar has a land in his hand
Okay.
to play an Oracle. Yeah. So he might just, it might be worth disputing this. It might be worth disputing this just so that Nicholas can't draw into
A dispute because he
yeah.
can dispute and pay for yours.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
you got to you want to stop it right now.
Correct. So you dispute here, and then you make Nicholas make a decision. So yeah, he's gonna mystical dispute this growth spiral. Okay, that makes sense to me. And now again, if you're Nicholas, you have to Rivulet here.
Yep. It's face up. It's painful because you think that this is kind of your cover.
Yeah. All right, Rivulet ya. So now, mill those 4 cards, and then these 6 cards will become the deck from the inverter. Okay. Dispute, Thought Eraser, Dig Through Time, so on and so forth. Opt. There's a Thought Season there. All right, there's your deck. Good to know. 6 cards. Good stuff. Land for the turn. That we knew he had. And passed. Hope he doesn't get Thought Knot seared. Edgar's got a 6/6 back on defense against 2 4/4s. A little chit chat with the squad. We're going to be jumping into that standard match regardless of the results of this game. If Nicholas wins it, we're all tied up, obviously. If Edgar wins it, we're tied up in the game. We want to get our eyes on the Team of Reclamation Mirror if we can. Those players have just started game number 3 for what it's worth. Going to do a little escaping here with the Titan of Nature's Wrath. Game 3, draw a card. I'm not going to try to do it via damage this game, that's for sure. All right. This is Pilgrimage. All right, so a couple of forests, sure. That means the shields are almost certainly done. 3 mana now. Here's Opt. Take a look at that top card. Slide it to the bottom of your 6-card deck. Draw a card. Time to untap. Thassa's Oracle in hand. We know that. Everyone knows that in this game. All 6 players know that. Edgar, opting, looking, bottom, drawing. The card he was looking for is that. It's got to be the top card of his deck since he's looked at 4 cards and drew a card. So you saw a little bit of frustration there. That means the card he's looking for is the top card of his deck. Here's Thought Eraser. Let's get a little look. Disdainful Stroke. All right, Thassa's Oracle. That is going to do it because you surveil that top card.
Right.
2 cards left in your deck. Bang. All right. Edgar and Magalhaes going to tie it up. Let's go to Standard. Get our eyes on Pulliam versus Alex Rubin. What an awesome game that was.
And I think that might have come down to that Thought-Knot Seer taking the Jace rather than the Thassa's Oracle for a couple of reasons. One, the Disdainful Stroke just doesn't line up the right way there. But the bigger one is Jace winning the game forces you to draw a card, so the Rivulet just breaks it up. Rivulet does not break up Thassa's Oracle as a kill.
That's very true.
And that actually was
Looks like,
that was a thing that happened.
Yeah. So we walk into a Team of Reclamation Mirror here in Standard where if Will Pulliam wins, he's going to win it for his team.
To say nothing of the fact that the Jace is 4 mana versus the Oracle being 2, and Magalhaes did a lot of his work on 6 and 7 mana.
Looks like we're going to have a Petty Theft going after a Wilderness Reclamation. We mentioned during that other match just how important Wilderness Reclamation is in this particular match. So it's off the battlefield for now. Here's Gadwick. And just for 2, not a ton. Couple of cards drawn. Now there's an island. So, in comes Brazen Borrower. And we're going to head back over to Will Pulliam now, who does, it looks like, have a copy of Wilderness Reclamation in his hand. And that's not something that you can mystical. So let's get in here for 3 first. There's a Stomping Ground untapped. Pulliam's going to fall down to 14. And now there is Wilderness Reclamation, the namesake enchantment for the deck. 3 mana left over. What's next here for Pulliam? Multiple-time SCG Tour champion is going to kill that Gadwick and draw a couple of cards here with some mana left over and pass the turn back. Pretty commanding lead now here for Pulliam with the threat on the battlefield and Brazen Borrower. Mana up in addition to a Wilderness Reclamation out there as well. You got to like his positioning if you're Magalhaes and Dilks.
And any sort of tap low sequence here to try to catch up in terms of power leaves you potentially vulnerable to a lethal expansion explosion.
There's Wilderness Reclamation. It's the card worth fighting over. Will does have a copy of Aether Gust in hand. All right, there's a Gust. Going to leave up Temple of Epiphany to at least bluff Mystical Dispute.
Can't really play back with expansion here either.
No, you really can't. The best you could do really is you use that card, copy Gust, and bounce your opponent's Wilderness Reclamation.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine, but, you know, I mean, then you're tapped out. Pulliam just redeploys the Wilderness Reclamation.
You're not getting very far there.
Yeah. Still might be the best thing to do with the card at this point. I'm not saying that's not true. It's just not that powerful.
All right, so there's expansion. Yep, that's what we're going to see. So expansion is going to become an Ether Gust, and Ether Gust is going to target Wilderness Reclamation. Pulliam's going to put his on top, and Rubin's going to put his on the bottom. Okay.
And these shots from Brazen Borrower just soften up Rubin to the point where if the shields are down for one turn, Pulliam could potentially finish off the game.
There's a Wilderness Reclamation. Very cool. There's 2 of them. There's an attack. Untap. That's 8 mana, so he's got access to 16 total.
It's plenty.
Yeah. So he's got access to 16. And that would mean it would be, in order to deal 10, you got to use 12 of it. And kaboom. That's going to do it. Will Pulliam, Matthew Dilks, and Edgar Magalhaes are going to win this game and match here over Joshua Warsaw, Nicholas Devalle, and Alex Rubin. That young trio on the left certainly did make a name for themselves over these past 2